Well, thank you all for joining us today. Welcome to the AFC Virtual Travel Show. My name is Will Reese with AFC Vacations, and we wanted to wish you all a happy new year. Just wanted to mention that our thoughts are with the folks up in the north part of LA, as those fires are causing some issues. So hopefully everyone's safe and healthy as we move into the new year. We have a lot to talk about as we move into 2025. It's a great year for travel, and we're already seeing an uptick in bookings. Folks are booking their trips earlier, and we have a lot to offer. A lot of new trips, both domestically as well as internationally, and then a lot of top favorites. And that's what we're covering today is our top 20 tours of trips that are great and ready to go out the door for 2025. So let's get into the show. Again, a very happy new year. I know Deb, Chris, Pat, Larry, and everybody as our tour managers say hello, as well as our office team. We're back at it and ready for a wonderful year of travel. Just a background of AFC, we do offer worldwide tours and cruises with all different travel styles. So we offer trips that take the train all throughout Europe as well as in the United States and Canada. Our national parks tours, European vacations, as well as our European river cruise charters. Our most popular trips are our Unpack Once tours, where we stay at one hotel for your entire stay. And then we do have some great adventure travel as well as special events. So we'll get into some of those. What's included with an AFC tour? Well, we have a wonderful team of tour managers. I mentioned some of those before, and a very wide expanding group of guides that lead you all over the world. They have expertise in different destinations, and they really do care about your experience. So come on with us. We have a page dedicated to our tour manager schedule. So take a look at that if there's a specific tour guide you're interested in traveling with. And then our tours incorporate quality hotels that focus on good locations as well as comfortable stays. Our trips also include inclusive sightseeing, so wonderful items of attractions throughout the travels, and then memorable meals. And we incorporate some great cultural experiences throughout. We also have a couple of guarantees, one of which is our guaranteed departures. So you'll see this in our brochure as the symbol GD on individual tour departures, and that means that trip has enough passengers to travel. So you know that's ready to go out the door. Our guaranteed pricing means that once you put your deposit down on a tour, your price is locked in. And even as prices change with fuel surcharges and so forth, those don't get passed on to you. So put your deposit in today, and we do have a great special on our deposits for today. We are part of the USTOA, that's the United States Tour Operators Association, and so we're one of a select about 50 tour operators in the United States that are covered under a $1 million Travelers Assistance Program. What that means to you is your funds are protected. So your deposits, your final payments, if for any reason the company went through an insolvency, your funds are covered under that USTOA bond that we've put in. We also have a wonderful staff in our office available to answer any of your questions and make sure your booking process is seamless. So give us a call today and talk to Joe, Holly, April, or Sam, and they'll help you book your trip. One of the great offers we also incorporate is our home pickup airport service. So we pick you up at your door, take you to the airport, and bring you back at the end, all in part of the package. As long as you're within 40 miles of your airport that you're using, that's incorporated with the price. And then anything further than that 40-mile window, there is a surcharge for. We also offer a home pickup credit. So if you choose to take Uber or Lyft or share a ride with family and friends, we take $100 off your final payment per person. So that can be some great savings for you if you don't use that home pickup. As I mentioned, a wonderful team with tremendous experience in our office to assist you with everything you need. And we've been in business since 1982. So a wonderful stretch of about 43 years in the travel industry. And again, backed by the USTOA. Now, we combine some great vacations and great value on our programs. We have a lot of great offers to save you money. And that was what we really set out to do, is to create affordable vacations. And that's why AFC stands for Affordable First Class. So first and foremost, a newer offer for this year is our risk-free deposits and no change fees. We know plans can change. We know travel plans are adjusted at times. And so once you put your deposit down on a tour, any cancellations prior to final payment, which is at 90 days, there's no loss to you. So prior to that, up until 180 days to that 90-day window, that is a risk-free segment. So your funds are protected there. And then up until that 90-day window, you get a future travel credit for any cancellation fees. So deposit or TPP, the travel protection, which is the insurance plan. So that is turned into a future travel credit, so you can repurpose that and travel with us in the future. So again, risk-free deposits really are a great protection for you, and this is a great offer for 2025. Our Travelers Club is our loyalty program, and so if you book a tour or European river cruise, you're automatically enrolled to receive a $100 credit off your next trip within 18 months. So if you travel within that 18-month window on 2 different trips, that second tour is $100 off automatically. We are also a company that started by word of mouth. So people told their friends and family about us, and people started traveling more and more. And now our passengers come from all over the United States, from coast to coast, Washington, D.C., down to San Diego. And so if you tell your friends and family about our tours and they travel with us, once they've completed their trip, your next tour is $100 off, as long as they reference you and mention your name in the booking. And then we also offer our early booking savings, and you'll see the Cash Early Bookings logo on many of the pages in our brochure. That brochure goes out every other month, so look out for that. It just was published in early January. And so what that means is in the first 20 and 40 guests to book on a tour, you automatically save money. It's a great way to travel and keep the price low. So within that first 20 clients on domestic and international tours, you can save up to $100. And the 21st through 40th traveler saves up to $75, as long as you book early and pay your final payment by check. So nice, easy ways to save there. Getting into some of our great programs, I wanted to mention this first and foremost as the Vienna and Christmas markets of the Danube River Cruise, as it is nearly sold out for 2025. That's right, we're almost a year out from this program, and it's almost sold out as people are booking their trips earlier and earlier. One of the main points of why I brought this up is because this is a trip myself and Chris McCool are going to be leading. I don't take out as many trips as I used to. I used to travel about 20 tours a year, and got tired of living out of a suitcase, but I still love to travel, and I can't wait to be on this river cruise with folks. So we have about 9 cabins remaining on this program, and it starts in Frankfurt, Germany. So we'll fly into Frankfurt, spend the night in a hotel there, as well getting to see the beautiful Christmas markets, all the ornaments, all the great specialties there, as well as a good glass of mulled wine. Then we'll drive down to Rothenburg, and that is a medieval walled city that we'll tour and get to see the Christmas market there as well. And then we board the ship, the Amadeus Cara, which is produced in 2022, so a fairly new ship and beautiful vessel. We'll board the ship there in Nuremberg and then also enjoy a city tour in Nuremberg, learning all about the World War II trials, as well as spending some time at the Christmas market there. Each and every stop we take in a great Christmas market as well. So look out for about 6 or 8 different Christmas markets on this experience as a whole. From Nuremberg, we head down to Regensburg, and this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the old town of Regensburg. And then we dock in Passau for a short period as we send off an optional tour to Salzburg. And it's a wonderful full-day experience going down to the area where The Sound of Music was filmed. So we'll get to see the city, the gardens, as well as the great Christmas market and cathedral in the city center. Learn a little bit about the composers that were living there. And then we'll pick the ship back up in Linz, down in Austria, and then work our way over to Melk. And Melk is famous for the Melk Abbey. So we'll get to tour this amazing Benedictine Abbey, as well as do a Glühwein tasting on that day. Last but not least, we wrap up in Vienna. And Vienna is home of classical music, so great experiences there. We'll do a city tour, getting to see all the famous components, whether it's the cathedral, the opera house, and much more. We'll wrap that up with a visit to the beautiful Christmas markets in Vienna, and they are quite large in the big cities especially. And then we also offer optional tours along the way. So this one takes off December 10th of 2025, and we look forward to traveling with you. Again, only 9 cabins remain. Another one of our great river cruises is our Holland Tulips and Rhine River Castles. The March departure, March 26th, is already sold out, but April 1st and October 12th do have spots, although April 1st is also limited in its cabin availability. So that April 1st departure, 9 cabins left, starts in Amsterdam. We spend one night in the city there, and then we board the ship in Amsterdam, incorporating a city tour and canal cruise. Now, the highlight of that April timeframe is going out to the Keukenhof Gardens. And this is just a tremendous stretch of millions of tulips that have been planted and are blossoming in that April and March timeframe. So we get to take in the gardens and spend some time exploring that area. It's a beautiful landscape. And then we work our way down south into Germany, and we stop in Cologne for a city tour as well as a beer tasting. So we'll get to try some Kolsch beer, which is a local specialty. From Cologne down to Koblenz, and that's the point of 2 different rivers separating. And Koblenz is one of the oldest cities in Germany, dating back to the Roman period. So as we do a city tour there, you'll get to walk about as well as explore the market. We'll work our way from Koblenz over to the river of the Moselle. And this is an amazing stretch, a beautiful scenery, and you have vineyards on either side. We'll work our way into Kokum, and this is a gorgeous town right on the river itself. We'll go up to the Reichsburg Castle, and then we'll also do a city tour of the area. And that also incorporates a wine tasting at one of the cellars there. As we continue south on the Rhine, we'll visit Rudesheim, famous for a liqueur coffee, and a beautiful stretch of little alleyways and great shops to explore there as well. And then down into Speyer with its beautiful reddish cathedral and small, quaint German town before we wrap up in Strasbourg. And Strasbourg is a complete city tour we get to take in, and it's a great mix of French and German culture in that area in the Alsace. So we wrap up finally in Basel, where we disembark the ship, and Basel, Switzerland at the north end of the country. We have the option for adding 2 nights out in Lucerne, and we'll do a Basel city tour and then a city tour in Lucerne, as well as some great free time to explore. So Switzerland is an excellent way to wrap this program up. But this one takes off April 1st and October 12th. Now, one of our most popular trips are our mystery vacations, and we have a mystery tour heading out just about once every single month. The first 2 are already guaranteed in February and March, so reach out to our office and see if there's still space on those. But then we do have space on April, May, June, and August. So make sure you get your bookings done quick because these are filling up. And these are great 5-day programs, so a little bit shorter in time frame, a little bit less in terms of the cost as well. And that price point does include air from many of the gateways. You can take a look at the brochure and see the specific gateway points and costs. But we also offer that early booking savings of about $50 off for the first 40 clients. So take a look at the brochure, check the dates that work for you. And how these work is when you call in, we can talk about what you've done before, what you've done in the past, and areas that you're interested in, and we'll direct you to the right dates for you. And then about 3 weeks prior to departure, you'll get a packet in the mail, and that'll have your schedule in terms of your flights and the time to be at the airport with your pickup. And then everything else is left to mystery. And as the tour goes, the tour managers bring up some clues and have a fun time of enticing you with what's coming each and every step of the way. And people absolutely love these. They're one of the best trips that we offer in terms of excitement and fun along the way. Now, a new tour for us that we've brought back after many, many years is our North Carolina and Outer Banks. And we've adjusted it to make it just right. So we'll fly in and out of Raleigh, North Carolina on this program. We have 1 date available, and that is September 10th. So if it's of interest to you, don't wait and make sure you get that booked. As we arrive in Raleigh, we'll spend the night there. We also incorporate a dinner for a welcome. And then we'll make our way out to the coastline of North Carolina, and that's where we hit Atlantic Beach. This is just a beautiful stretch of coastline, as well as these dotted islands that go up the coast of North Carolina to the north. So we'll spend 2 nights there as our hub. We'll also get out to a lunch cruise in the Inner Banks. And then we continue out to Ocracoke Island. And there's some great sightseeing with the lighthouses and little towns along the way. We'll take a ferry out through Pamlico Sound. And then we also get to visit the Wright Brothers National Memorial on this tour. And that's a highlight for a lot of folks, as we've heard so much through the history of flight with these two individuals that created air travel. So once we continue along the coast, we also do a nature safari. And that's where we take these vehicles specially designed to get out into some different off-road terrain and get to see wild horses along the coastline. So these are quite fun as well. And then we wrap up with 3 nights in Nags Head. That's the north end of North Carolina's coast. And then 1 night in Raleigh before flying out. So don't miss this great travel opportunity in the fall, September 10th. Now, as you can see from the dates above, this is our most popular tour. So out of the top 20, this is probably number 1. So each and every date that we have from May through October is already guaranteed, with 2 of those sold out already in May and June. So May 9th and June 5th are sold out. You can put yourself on the wait list if those dates are interesting to you, but we have plenty of other dates to go on as well. So what we do on this program is flying into Detroit. We spend 2 nights in Dearborn, Michigan, and that is the home of Henry Ford. So we get to see the Ford River Rouge plant, and that's where they're building F-150 trucks. So we get right up on the assembly line and get to see the trucks in process being built. We'll also see the Henry Ford Museum and the Greenfield Village on this program. Then as we travel north, we'll work our way up to Mackinac. And Mackinac City is where we take the ferry over to Mackinac Island. And on the island itself, it is car free. So we don't take the motor coach up there. We board the ferry and we're picked up by horse-drawn carriage. And so it really does take you back in time on this experience. In Mackinac, we stay 2 nights at the Grand Hotel. And that's where we also incorporate a great dinner. Folks get nice and dressed up, go out dancing, and have a ball with that time. We'll work our way from Mackinac on a city tour. We'll get to do a horse-drawn carriage tour of the island, so you get to see the beautiful homes. And then we head down south into Frankenmuth, and this is a Bavarian-style village, so awesome architecture as well as great little shops and restaurants with German style. We'll get to see one of the largest Christmas stores in the country. And then from there, we work our way out to Niagara Falls. And that's where we spend 2 nights at the falls on the Canadian side. So make sure you have your passports ready for this one. So on the Canadian side, we get to do the Maid of the Mist cruise as well as the Niagara Falls area, touring the area with the clock and so forth. But then we wrap up with the dinner at the Skyline Tower. So a wonderful experience altogether. You get to see the Niagara River from multiple different perspectives, from above, below, and on the side of the river. So make sure you sign up today because these are filling up quickly. A wonderful tour that we offer on the East Coast is Nashville, Smoky Mountains, and Bluegrass. And this one starts by flying into Louisville, where we spend 2 great nights. Our April 27th departure is limited in space. There's only a handful of open passenger space left, so make sure if that's the time frame that you're looking at, don't wait on that one. We go from Louisville on a city tour. We incorporate a number of great stops, including Churchill Downs and the museum there along the racetrack. We'll also head out to the Kentucky Horse Park, and that celebrates man's relationship with horse. So it's a tremendous experience to take in the animals and the stables. When in Kentucky, one of the most fascinating features of items that they offer is Kentucky bourbon. And this is a style of whiskey specific to Kentucky. We do a bourbon tasting at the Evan Williams Distillery. And this is one of the most popular distilleries in the country. So you get to try multiple different types of bourbon. And then from there, we work our way down south. We stop at the Ark Encounter to learn all about Noah's Ark, the concepts as well. It is built to the exact specifications in the Bible. So whether you're religious or not, it's a great stop along the way and really interesting components to it. We'll continue down south. We'll make our way into Gatlinburg for 2 nights. And from there, we get into the Smoky Mountains. And this national park is one of the most visited national parks in our country. And so we'll get to see not only the landscape, the layout, as well as hopefully some of the wildlife that lives there. There's a tremendous diversity of wildlife, whether it's birds, bears, foxes, and wolves. From the park, we also work our way out to Pigeon Forge, and we go out to Dollywood for the afternoon. So you get to take in that wonderful theme park. And then we wrap up with 3 nights in Nashville, and Nashville, home of country music. So you get to take in the Country Music Hall of Fame, as well as a performance at the Grand Ole Opry. So April 27th, September 21st, and October 12th. This is another one of our top tours that we offer each year, and this is a wonderful program going out to the Southeast. So we'll start with 2 nights in Charleston and spend the time going out to some of the estates. We'll see Middleton Place, which is where the Patriot movie was filmed. So some of the sites along that route. And this is the United States' oldest landscape garden. And so it's a tremendous grounds as well as the estate itself, but it's a National Historic Landmark at Middleton Place. In Charleston, we'll do a full city tour, so you get to see the historic district. We stay in the historic district, as well as going to some of the beautiful parks there. And Battery Park, which is along the waterfront, is home to that famous pineapple statue that you see in the bottom left. And so that is a symbol of hospitality. Then we continue down to Beaufort in South Carolina, and it's a very quaint small town, only about a couple of blocks long from the actual town center. But great little homes. We'll do a tour by carriage ride, so horse-drawn carriage tour there. And then we end up that night in Savannah, Georgia. And so our 2 nights in Savannah incorporate a city tour. We'll take you over to the Cotton Exchange and learn about the history there, along with the slave labor and the trade that went along with it. And in Savannah, we'll also head out along the coast there and make some amazing stops. As we work south, we end up with 2 nights in Jekyll Island, and this is truly a highlight for a lot of folks. We stay at the Jekyll Island Club for our 2-night stay, and this is the home of the rich and famous. So this was their escape from the busyness of New York and the other popular cities. As they got away from their business, they were able to settle in with their families in Jekyll Island, and many of which have homes there. So we'll get a chance to see the Indian Mounds Cottage. That was the home of the Rockefellers. Also get to see the Pulitzers and Goodyear home as we travel on a trolley tour. And then we have a great meal incorporated at the Jekyll Island Club as well. So this one takes off from March all the way through November. Our West Virginia Rails in Williamsburg, even though we just released this has become one of our most popular tours going into 2025. And we've already got September 25th and October 9th guaranteed. September 25th with Chris McCool. October 2nd and October 9th are the 3 departure dates. So this one is a fantastic program incorporating 2 rail experiences and round-trip air into Washington, D.C. We'll get a chance to do the Illuminations tour in Washington, D.C., so you get a chance to see all the different monuments and memorials to the presidents and important figures of American history. And then we'll work our way to the west, heading into West Virginia, stopping at the Potomac Eagle Scenic Train. And this is a wonderful train ride of a historic rail car that we take you through the landscape of West Virginia. And we spend 2 nights in Elkins. It's a peaceful little town in the middle of the West Virginia hills. And from there, we also head out to the New Tigert Flyer. And that's another beautiful restored rail car that we take you on. As we head south, we'll spend 1 night at the Greenbrier Resort. And this hotel dates back to the 1770s. So it's one of the oldest hotels in America. And in the underground area of the hotel is a bunker that was built for the diplomats in Washington, D.C., if anything were to occur there. So there's a great fascinating aspect with the bunker tour incorporated in this tour. As we head back towards D.C., we'll stop in Monticello in Virginia, and that was home of Thomas Jefferson. That's where the Lewis and Clark Party made their way back to tell Jefferson all of which they discovered. And then we'll make our way for 3 nights in Williamsburg, where we get to visit Williamsburg, Jamestown, and Yorktown as tours. So you get to see the colonial aspects of Williamsburg, the Yorktown battlefield, as well as the American Revolution Museum. And we wrap up with a colonial farewell dinner before flying out of Washington, D.C. Our Coastal Maine has been a tremendous program for us for several years now, and it continues to be so. So we have departures from June through October, many of which are already guaranteed, and we anticipate those June, July, and October dates getting to that point as well. Now, this tour starts and ends in Boston with 1 night stay on arrival, and that's where we'll do a full city tour of Boston, getting to see Boston Commons as well as Old State House, and then the stretch and beautiful Old Ironsides, the beautiful ship in the harbor there. We'll also take you over to a special treat, and that is Fenway Park. That is home of the Boston Red Sox and a great tour component. Even if you're not a baseball fan, it's a wonderful stadium. It's the oldest in America, dating back to the early 1900s. As we leave Boston, we'll work our way up the coastline, heading off into Kennebunkport for a 5-night stay. And this is a wonderful hub to get a chance to see the entire coast of the southeast part of Maine. From there, we work our way out to the little villages along the harbors, and we'll take you out on a couple of different boat excursions. We do the lobster boat cruise as well as Casco Bay. So as we take you out on the lobster cruise, you get to learn about the lobster fishing industry, what the fishermen look for, and then we also incorporate a great lobster clam bake on this trip. So you got to try some lobster while you're out there. We'll stop in the towns of Ogunquit and York, as well, going up north to Boothbay Harbor. And one of the great aspects is we do an optional tour to the botanical gardens, and that is a highlight for a lot of folks. We'll get to see Portland, Maine, which is one of the largest towns, as well as the Portland Head Lighthouse, and that is a spectacular site, some tremendous photography that takes place out there. So again, June through October on this departure, all through the summer, and then into the early parts of fall. Our Cape Cod and the Islands tour has also been a tremendous success for many, many years, and it continues to be so. You can see all the different dates available. We'll expand those guaranteed departures as we go through the year. But this tour also starts in Boston. We get a chance to settle in as we fly, depending on where you're coming from, into the East Coast for one night in Boston. The only difference on this program with Boston, we don't do the Fenway Park experience. So that is specific to coastal Maine. From Boston, we'll work our way out to the Cape and stop in Plymouth. That's where we get to see Plymouth Rock and the Mayflower 2, replica of the Mayflower. We'll do the Plymouth Pawtucket, which is the plantation, the original settlement there. And then our hub of either Hyannis or Yarmouth for 5 nights at one hotel out on the Cape gives us a chance to go out to Provincetown, which is the north end of the Cape. So a nice little loop tour up to Provincetown, or P-Town as it's called. And then we take 2 ferry rides, one out to Martha's Vineyard, where we'll have some leisure time to explore the towns as well as the coastline. And then we also head out by ferry to Nantucket. And this is where the site of the Whaling Museum is. That's where a lot of the wealth came into the East Coast initially. So we'll incorporate a visit to the Whaling Museum on the tour. We also head south and into Rhode Island, and that's where we'll see Newport. And that is home of the Breakers Mansion. So we tour the Breakers Mansion. Beautiful, beautiful property and mansions all along that stretch. So a wonderful tour incorporating. We also do a visit to a cranberry bog, as that's one of the great traditions out in the East. Our Utah's Mighty National Parks tour has been converted over the years. We used to do our entire stay in Moab with the exception of one night in Grand Junction. But moving forward, we realized that the accessibility into Salt Lake City makes for a much more impactful experience. So we fly into Salt Lake with one night there. We get to do a Salt Lake City tour, so you get to see some of the components of the city, as well as the Mormon Tabernacle, along with the beautiful mountains in the backdrop. From Salt Lake, we'll head south into Moab and spend 4 quality nights out of that great hub. And it's a great source and location to get out to the national parks. So from Moab, we'll go out to Capitol Reef, which is one of those areas that not a lot of people get to see. Most folks focus on Bryce and Zion, Arches, and Canyonlands. And so we've added Capitol Reef specific to try to create a new experience for folks. We also spend time in both Canyonlands and Arches, and those are 2 of the most close or nearby points to Moab, making it a great hub. So we'll get to see the beautiful stretch of the Colorado River as part of Dead Horse State Point. And then from there, we'll also continue down close to the border of Arizona for our visit to Monument Valley. And it's a beautiful site with these incredible arches and amazing landscape. We are taken by a Navajo native guide out into the valley as part of that tour. So you'll get to learn about the traditions and history along with it. But a beautiful opportunity heading out between April and October. Our Mount Rushmore, Yellowstone, and Western Frontiers tour has also changed over the years. And we used to do Rapid City up into Wyoming directly. We've adjusted it to incorporate Little Bighorn and Billings. So we go into Montana for 2025. So this program starts in Rapid City with 3 nights. We do the Badlands National Park as well as Fort Hays, and that's where we'll do a chuck wagon supper dinner. So you get to learn all about the site of one of the great aspects of Dances with Wolves, the Kevin Costner movie. We'll work our way over to Mount Rushmore, both in day as well as night, to get to see the illuminations ceremony, and then down to Crazy Horse to see that great memorial. As we continue up, we'll stop in Little Bighorn to learn about Custer's last stand and the big battle that took place there, spending a night in Billings, Montana, before dropping back into Wyoming into Cody. In our time in Cody, we get to take in the Buffalo Bill Cody Western Museum. And this is a fantastic and fascinating museum, incorporating all different styles of art, history, and amazing components dating to the 18 and early 1900s. Now, we come into Yellowstone National Park from the east entrance, and this is one of my favorite aspects of the tour, the drive along the Shoshone River, along Yellowstone Lake, and into West Yellowstone for our 2-night stay. We come back into the park the next day and do a full loop tour of Yellowstone, primarily focusing on the south section of the park with Yellowstone Canyon, Yellowstone Lake, and Old Faithful Geyser. You'll see a lot of the fountain pots and many more great features as we go. And this is one of those national parks that you're almost guaranteed to see wildlife. There are so many head of buffalo as we travel. It's a beautiful opportunity to see the different animal species throughout Yellowstone. We work our way south, heading past and through the Grand Teton Mountains, so you get to see those as we go, and down into Jackson Hole. This is one of the great resort towns of America, both in summer as well as winter. So we'll stay a night in Jackson before making our way out of Salt Lake City. And this one heads out in the summertime, June 18th, July 30th, and September 3rd. And then our Black Hills and Badlands tour is a great Western tour of the national parks in that region. And one of the great aspects of this tour is a Unpack Once trip into Rapid City. Now, before I'd ever been there, you could ask me what's there to do in South Dakota, and I'd have a blank stare on my face, but I absolutely love Rapid City as a hub. There are so many great activities along with Mount Rushmore to see in this area. The town itself has a statue of a president on each corner, so you get to learn about the history of each of them. And then within the city, there's some great restaurants, great shopping, but really the sites we go out to with Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse, as well as the Badlands National Park and Devil's Tower, really create a great experience on this tour. With our visit in Rapid City, we also incorporate a visit to Custer State Park. And I cannot express this enough. This is one of my favorite experiences on any of the tours that we do, is the Buffalo Jeep Safari. We get into these Jeeps and work our way out into the plains where we get to see these buffalo up close and personal. And because the Jeeps are the size of the buffalo, they don't take any threat to them, and they leave us alone, and we get to learn all about these great, amazing species. We'll also work our way over to Fort Hays on this tour, so we get to see the Dances with Wolves movie set, and then we get to take a steam train up through the Black Hills on the 1880s restored rail cars. So a wonderful experience, 7 days and 6 nights. Our Great Trains and Grand Canyons tour is probably our most popular West Coast trip in Arizona, and it's a 5-night stay in Sedona. So in and out of Phoenix, we get to work our way into the beautiful surroundings of Sedona with all the red rocks around us. And from Sedona, we'll do a trolley tour of the area. That takes us to the Chapel of the Holy Cross, which is built up into the hillside. From there, we'll also go out into Williams. We'll drive through the Oak Creek Canyon out to Williams and board the Grand Canyon Railway. And that'll take us to the south rim of the canyon, where we disembark and work our way up to the Bright Angel Lodge. And at the back of the lodge is a walkway where you can see the Grand Canyon in a number of different angles. So it's a beautiful setting. We'll work our way along the canyon as well as we head out towards Flagstaff. We'll make a stop en route. And then we do dinner in Flagstaff, a great little Western steakhouse dinner. Another day incorporated on this trip is going out to Montezuma's Castle and that's pictured in the bottom left. It's a beautiful cliff dwelling of the Sinagua tribe. And we'll also work our way on the Verde Canyon Railroad. And in terms of rail experiences, people are familiar with the Grand Canyon Railway, but the experience on the Verde Canyon outdoes that as well. So with the Verde Canyon, we have a first-class train car. We also have an open-air car. So you can go out and feel the breeze as well, talk to a naturalist that's on board, and they give you all sorts of details about the landscape and wildlife. But this one runs all from March on through into November. A couple of our great trips up to the north, and we have plenty to offer. Just a couple of the highlights here are our Canadian Rockies and Glacier National Park. And this has round-trip air into Calgary. We work our way from Calgary after a night there and over into Banff. In Banff, we spend 3 nights, and that is our hub for the beautiful national parks of Banff National Park, as well going out into the Icefields Parkway. And we'll take the Ice Explorer that goes out to the Athabasca Glacier. That glacier is over 1,000 feet thick. So incredible territory that we'll learn about the glacial ice and melt off. From there, we also get to see the beautiful lakes, the Emerald Lakes and Peyto Lakes, and amazing scenery. So if you're a photographer, this is one of the top places to see in the world. We'll also stop in Kootenai National Park. And then as we head south, we'll do a visit to Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump. And this is where the Native Americans used to hunt buffalo for hundreds of years. We'll continue across the border into Montana, and that's where we'll see Glacier National Park with the one-night stay. And then we'll stay one night in either Whitefish or Kalispell as our hub for some of the great sightseeing in Montana. So a fantastic program running from June on through September. So especially if you're looking to get out of the hot weather of San Diego, Palm Springs, or any of those other warm climates during the summer, it's a great opportunity to get out and explore. Our Majestic Canadian Rockies Tour is another great trip, and this one hubs out of Banff, and it's a great unpack once experience. So we stay 5 nights in Banff with round trip air in and out of Calgary. From Calgary, it's about a 90-minute drive into Banff, and it just gets more and more scenic as we go. So once we arrive in Banff, you get to settle in. We'll do a welcome dinner there. We also do a meal at Chateau Lake Louise, and generally it's a lunch. I know it mentions dinner, but it's a lunch that we do at Chateau Lake Louise. And we get to see not only Banff National Park, but also Yoho. We see Emerald and Peyto Lakes, and they really are that emerald blue, that rich greenish blue color that you see in the pictures. We'll see Moraine Lake as well, and that's the background for the Valley of the 10 Peaks. So you get to see the beautiful mountains that you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. We also incorporate the Ice Explorer ride on this trip through the Icefields Parkway up onto the glacier. So that's a highlight for a lot of folks on this as well. But we have departures June 15th, July 27th, August 17th, and September 7th. Getting into some of our more international trips, primarily in Europe, the highlights of Scandinavia has been a great seller for us as well. And we have 2 departure dates, July and August. And this is one of those trips that I've even recommended to my family. I have my mom going on the July departure, and she absolutely loves this destination. We'll fly into Stockholm, and this is a great hub for activity. It's one of the more modern cities of the Scandinavian countries. And as we arrive, we'll spend 2 nights in Stockholm. Our city tour incorporates the Vasa Ship Museum. It's the top highlight of visits to Sweden. We'll then work our way by motor coach over to Oslo, and that's the capital of Norway, where we spend 2 nights. We'll do a city tour in Oslo, and then we also incorporate the Folk Museum in that area. We'll see the Fram Ship Museum and the Gullstav Church, and then we board a train up and over the mountains as we make our way down into the waterways. So we'll come up over the mountain from Myrdal and into the area of Flom. And en route, there's a gorgeous, gorgeous waterfall that's pictured in the upper right-hand corner. So a big highlight on this trip. As we make our way into the town of Flom, it's based on the edge of the Arlands Fjord, and that's where we take a cruise out around the waterways. If you've been to Alaska, it's a similar experience going through some of the waterways of there. But just absolutely stunning scenery. And then we continue down to Stalheim for a night before 2 nights in Bergen. Bergen is another area where we'll do a full city tour and get to take the cable car up to the mountain. We'll also fly from Bergen down to Copenhagen. That's all included in the cost. So if you see a higher price point, that's why we also include air on this. And as we fly into Copenhagen, we spend 2 great nights with a city tour and Tivoli Gardens. So wonderful program going out twice this summer. One of the other unique destinations that we offer is our Cuba Discovery Tour. And we've had a partnership with a cultural experience in Cuba since the early teens. So great opportunity to explore in Cuba with 5 nights in Havana. And we'll take you on an old Havana walking tour. We also incorporate the Museum of the Revolution, focusing on the 1950s and early 1960s in the area. From there, we'll talk about artist Jose Fuster, who does all sorts of mosaics and murals throughout the city to beautify the area. And then we'll take you over to a cigar factory. One of the most popular items that's produced in Cuba are Cuban cigars. We can't take them home under the current policies, but you can smoke a few while you're there if you'd like to. And there are about 300 employees working at the cigar factories. And the rollers, the cigar rollers, can take up to 5 cigars home each day. I don't know what I would do with 5 cigars a day. That's a bit much for me. As we continue through, we'll also visit the Havana Club Rum Museum. So you get to learn about the rum industry as well as the sugar cane. And that was really what brought the wealth into Cuba in the 1920s, is that sugar cane and all the things they could do with it at that time. We'll see Ernest Hemingway's farm, so his property and surrounds, as well getting a chance to take one of those classic cars through the streets of Havana with the Classic Car Club. And that's a big highlight for folks as well. Not only are we in the city, we also get out to the countryside, and that's where we get to see the Vinales Valley and the beautiful surroundings with its landscape. So great 6-day, 5-night program in Havana. And then probably one of the top 3 tours that we offer is our Alpine Swiss Villages and Rails. And this tour is 9 days, 7 nights, incorporating 1 night in Zurich and 6 nights up in the hills and mountains along the Alps. So as we arrive in Zurich, we'll work our way out to the city of Bern, and its symbol is a bear. It's a great little walking tour that we get to see a lot of the city, the clock tower, as well as the bear habitat. And then we'll work our way down to Wengen and the Latterbrunnen Valley, and we leave the motor coach behind, taking different modes of transportation throughout the European rail system, and specifically the Swiss rails. So as we arrive at a resort hotel in Wengen, we work our way out each and every day on different methods of transport. So we'll go out to Lake Brienz as well as Grindelwald and Gimmelwald. We'll also do an optional trip out to Zermatt and the Matterhorn. But getting to see these beautiful lakes and waterfalls and mountains, this is one of the most stunning areas in the world. And great features as well if you're a foodie: Swiss chocolate, Swiss fondue, and wonderful items along that stretch. So this one departs July 22nd, August 12th, and September 9th, all of which are guaranteed. Our Tuscan culinary experience has changed over the years, and moving into 2025, we've added 2 nights in Florence. So we start out flying into Florence Airport and making our way out to the Tuscan hillsides. And the main focus of this tour is getting out of the city, spending some quality time in a peaceful setting away from the busyness. So our 5 nights in the Tuscany region and the hillside towns is a really wonderful way to start the program. And we ease into this trip by starting with a cooking class, and a pasta maker teaches us all about how to make pastas and cook these delicious dishes from the region. And so you'll get your hands dirty, as well as tasting some wines and getting some great appetizers along the way. And then we get to enjoy our great lunch together. We'll do a winery tour and tasting in the Tuscany region. And then we also incorporate a Tuscan estate dinner, where we also learn about truffle hunting and the truffle demonstrations that we get. Then from there, we'll head off to some famous cities like Siena and San Gimignano. San Gimignano pictured in the upper left-hand corner with its towers, beautiful medieval towers there, and Siena, famous for Il Palio, the horse race. We'll also head down to Lake Trasimeno, and that is a hub in the region of Umbria, So we leave Tuscany and enter Umbria and take a lunch out on one of the small islands out on the lake. And that's just a wonderful experience. Then we also incorporate a visit to Volterra, and then another great meal, which is a lunch at a saffron producing farmhouse. So they incorporate saffron, one of the highest costing herbs, into their meals, and into gnocchi, which is potato pasta. And as you can see, each of the departures that we have for 2025 are already guaranteed, many of which will sell out, so please don't wait if those are of interest. We offer a 3-night extension at the end down to Rome, so that's a highlight for folks as well, and especially with the fact that this is the Jubilee year in Rome and the Vatican, so Rome's going to be a very popular place to visit. Very crowded, but very popular. And then Kenya Safari. I've been asked about this destination many, many times over the last year. Kenya is a beautiful, beautiful place to visit with all this natural landscape and amazing wildlife. And we incorporate 10 different game drives in our time here. We stay at some wonderful hotel properties. These are game lodges and game resorts. So you get a very inclusive experience taking in these great sites. So some of the areas that we'll visit, we'll see Mount Kilimanjaro. We'll also take you to the Masai Mara Game Reserve. And then one of the other highlights for folks is the Giraffe Center and the Goodall Chimpanzee Center. So you learn about these great animals and their protections. A big, amazing experience and one of those once-in-a-lifetime tours. This is a tour that goes 13 days and 10 nights. The February departure of the 13th is already sold out. We do have February 15th and November 6th. However, space is limited, so make sure you book in on this wonderful tour and get to take in all that Kenya has to offer. A very unique experience to take in as well is our England, Scotland, and Wales with the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. And this has gone to guaranteed status recently. It's August 5th of this year, so the summertime, a great time to get out of those hot climates as well. And we start by working our way into London. On this tour, our regular program goes Edinburgh to London, and for this specific date, we're working our way north. So we'll have 3 nights in London, getting to do a London city tour with great experiences, incorporating a visit to Buckingham Palace. We try to time that up with the changing of the guard, but the changing of the guard takes place randomly, kind of in spurts. So we do what we can to try to line that up. And then from London, we'll head out to Stonehenge as well as Bath. So you'll get to see the beautiful stone circle, learn about how many of those stones came from as far as Wales. And then we also incorporate a visit to Bath and seeing the Roman bath there. As we work our way out, we'll stay in Bristol, and that's a great harbor town to hub for our visit to Wales. And this is where we get to see Cardiff. Cardiff is the capital of Wales. We'll see the National Museum as well as the stadium on our city tour, and then Cardiff Castle. And that was originally a Roman fortification, and its architecture has changed throughout the years. We'll continue north, heading up towards York, and stop in Stratford-upon-Avon. Most folks know this as the home of William Shakespeare. So you'll see his birthplace where his father used to work and his home for many years. You'll also get to take in Anne Hathaway's cottage, his wife's childhood home. As we continue north, we'll stay in York for a night, incorporating a city tour, getting to see York Minster and the surrounding areas like the Shambles. And then from York up into Edinburgh. That's where we spend 2 nights as our hub, getting a chance to see the Palace of the Holyrood House and Royal Mile, which is the main stretch that connects the Holyrood House up into Edinburgh Castle. And at Edinburgh Castle, as we first arrive, we'll take in what's known as the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. And this is where over 800 performers come out each night during this stretch. And this is a window of a couple of months every summer. And they put on this tremendous performance with all different musical styles from all over the world. So you have different groupings and all of the flags of the performers around the castle. And we have stadium seating that we get to take in this experience for this date only. So after the experience there, it's an evening time ceremony with fireworks and wonderful performers. We'll also get to tour Edinburgh as a city and touring Edinburgh Castle on the interior. So look out for this one, August 5th. Athens and the Greek Isles is another very popular tour, and you can see all the guaranteed departures on this from April all the way through October. And so we spend 2 nights on arrival in Athens. We'll work our way out on a city tour with the Acropolis and the Olympic Stadium. And then we take a high-speed ferry over to Santorini. And this is where we'll spend 2 nights getting a chance to see the island itself. We'll do a wine tasting as well as walking tours of the village of Ia. And then we'll work our way by ferry again over to Mykonos and spend 2 nights there. One of my favorite parts of this is Little Venice, and that's a harborside community with a beautiful overlook on the sunsets. So it's a great place to grab dinner and a glass of wine and enjoy the sun going down in the Aegean Sea. From Mykonos, we also head off to the island of Delos, and that is an archaeological site and archaeological dig. So we get to take in that with the local guide. And then we continue back to Athens for our last night. Now we offer a 3-night extension up to the north to Kalimbaka and Delphi, and that's a great chance to learn about mainland Greece. So wonderful program, 9 days and 7 nights. Just wanted to remind you of some of the features that we offer to save you money. First and foremost is that risk-free deposit. So up until final payment, 90 days ahead, there's no loss to you. You can get a future travel credit for any cancellation fee incorporated there, the deposit or TPP. So make sure you put down your deposits to reserve your space, because we don't hold space until you put your deposit down. And then our Travelers Club, which can save you $100 off your next tour. So within that 18-month window, if you book one tour and then another in 18 months, that second tour is $100 off. Our Refer a Friend credit saves you up to $100 off if you tell your friends and family to travel with us and they mention your name. And then our early booking savings, saving you up to $200 off per person on our European river cruises and up to $100 off for our domestic and international. So make sure you pay your final payment by check for those to apply. And then if you book a new 2025 tour or European river cruise by next Friday, January 17th, our deposit is reduced to $299. So generally for domestic tours, it's $400, or for international, it's $600. For our tours as a whole, $299 to hold your space. So saving you some money up front. And then our 1 cabin category upgrade saves you on our 2025 European river cruises. So that can save you up to $200 to $400 per person. You book the lower category and you're automatically upgraded to the category above it. So again, you're saving on cost and getting upgraded to a higher quality, higher location, better location on the ship. And again, you must use the code TOP20 for those savings to apply. Now, how you can book is you can call our reservations team at 1-800-369-3693. You can email Joe, Holly, or April at afctours.com, their first name, and at afctours.com. And then visit our website at afcvacations.com, and you can check out our many, many tours. We have so many different offerings, over 80 destinations worldwide. And so make sure you check our website for upcoming trips as well, and we'll send you out some emails on some new tours as they come. But this has been a wonderful opportunity to tell you all about our top trips. We have many more to come, and our brochure just went out in the mail, so look for that. If you haven't received it, give us a call, and we look forward to traveling with you in 2025. But from all of us at AFC, whether it's our staff in the office or our tour managers out on the road, thank you so much for traveling with us. We look forward to the next experience along the way. If you do have any questions, feedback, or new show ideas, new destinations that you're interested in, email April at afctours.com. And from myself, Will Reese, and all of us, thank you again. Have a wonderful day.